My name is Alex Krasnitsky. I grew up in the city of Brotherly Love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I work out of the Cherry Hill, New Jersey office of Minster Sarowitz, Zaris, Ledva, and Myers. I went to undergrad at Villanova University College of Commerce and Finance, graduating with a degree in finance and a minor in accounting. I had actually decided to go to law school well before I went to college, sometime in my high school years. And so immediately after college, I proceeded to Emory University School of Law in Atlanta, Georgia, receiving my JD from there. Upon coming back to the tri-state area, where all my friends and family are, I knew that I wanted to litigate, and so I began working at a plaintiff's firm doing litigation work, which I think is a fantastic experience that I've been able to take to where I am now, doing defense litigation work. It's always helpful to know how the other side works and what happens on the other side, in that case being a plaintiff's firm. Shortly after leaving there, I worked for a law firm in Philadelphia, again specializing in litigation, but it was more in a commercial setting. And I then came to Minster Sarowitz, where I've been at their Cherry Hill, New Jersey office for going on about 17 years, practicing insurance defense litigation. So the areas of practice that I specialize in include premises liability, which include restaurant, retail, and hospitality work. I also do motor vehicle work, including trucking, as well as commercial and private auto work. Likewise, I defend various defendants in construction accident matters and construction setting, and also some professional negligence and product liability work as well. So a number of cases come to mind, and frankly, we could probably be here for quite some time telling war stories. But one case comes to mind. I was at Minster Sarowitz only about a year and a half, and we had a large brain injury case going to trial in what is still the most plaintiff-friendly county in New Jersey. I was going to assist a much more senior attorney in trying that case, so I was going to second chair the case. And frankly, that was my first real trial experience to date at the time. We tried the case for a number of weeks, and at some point throughout the trial, my colleague said to me, you're being very helpful. Why don't you take the direct examination of this expert? Why don't you take the cross-examination of this expert? Which, at the time was a little unnerving, but I'd like to think that I did well. And ultimately, we prevailed after multiple weeks of trial. We prevailed in winning that case. One of the reasons the case is memorable to me is that a couple of years later, the case finally proceeded on appeal to be heard by the appellate division. And my colleague, who was no longer with the firm, he had moved out of state, and it basically fell upon me to do everything with the appeal. Review the brief of the plaintiffs, write the responsive brief, and most importantly, again, as a still relatively young attorney, go argue the case before the New Jersey Appellate Division, which again was a little unnerving, but I remember the experience very well, and I'm happy to say that we prevailed on the defense of that case at the appellate level as well. So one of the things I like about being an attorney is that it's a very logical process. I really appreciate that. When we handle a case, we do it in a very methodical and logical manner. And then, we try to think, hey, what little thing can we sprinkle into that case that maybe gives us a leg up on the other side? But the logic is the fact that we're doing things very methodically is what I appreciate. We can sometimes get a little emotional about the case, and that's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing necessarily in every case, but it is something that is favorable when it's appropriate, and we can use it to our advantage. The other thing that I really like about the practice of law and our legal system in the United States overall is that, as my daughter says, in the olden days, people used to settle things with fights to duels, or really an eye for an eye kind of a thing. Whereas in today's modern society, litigation, and which ultimately potentially leads to trial, that is the process by which we resolve disputes. That is the modern way of doing these types of things. And I think a lot of folks who are maybe not attorneys, maybe don't think about that, but I really appreciate that. I appreciate that that's where our society is currently, and that's really something that makes me feel good about being an attorney and doing what I do. So I think I might have mentioned already a case where I tried as a young attorney and then defended on appeal before the appellate division as still a relatively young attorney, and that one definitely comes to mind. A couple of years, if that much afterwards, I got to try the first case that I tried entirely by myself. I'll be frank, as still a relatively young attorney, especially your first trial, or maybe it's your second trial, you get there, and it's a little unnerving. It's on your shoulders, and you have all the responsibility. But happy to say that I prevailed in that case. We received a defense verdict for the client in that case, and I remember very clearly the attorney on the other side of me. An attorney who I know much better now, senior to me attorney, came up to me after the trial and he said, which I'm sure is customary, but I felt like he meant it. He said, "Alex, you tried a very good case," and that stuck with me. That means a lot to me. Kind of along those same lines, there's an attorney who's not with us here at this office anymore, who some years ago said to me, "Alex, you're a very aggressive attorney." And I said, "Oh, come on." She said, No, you are a very aggressive attorney. And I've thought about that over the years, and I'd like to think that I am an aggressive attorney. I'd like to think that I know when to use that element appropriately and timely, and really vigorously defend my clients. So Philadelphia is really just a fantastic city. I've lived here for most of my life, and I think I might have mentioned that traveling is one of my favorite things to do, and I love to travel to other cities and other countries. But Philadelphia offers many of the aspects that I always look for when I travel elsewhere. We've got great history. Most of American history, or a lot of American history, can be found here in Philadelphia. From the founding of this republic and so on. We've got great culture and art. Philadelphia Art Museum is one of the best, if not the best, in the country. I'm not the biggest foodie, but I know folks who love the restaurant scene in Philadelphia. I'm hoping I've mentioned the Philadelphia sports teams by now, because obviously anybody who lives in Philadelphia will tell you that the Philadelphia sports teams are the best, and obviously they would be correct. Philadelphia just has just so much to offer. Really great place to live, great place to raise a family, and also just fantastically located, with New York being an hour and a half away, Baltimore and Washington D.C. being a little further away. So you can explore other parts, at least of the Northeast, very easily, while living in Philadelphia and enjoying what the city has to offer. So I might have already mentioned, I love to travel. I absolutely live to travel. Outside of spending time with my family, that's probably my most favorite thing to do. I love to travel. I love to explore other countries, other cultures, and really understand what they're all about. I'm a huge car guy. I fix cars, I restore cars, I race cars. There's really nothing about cars that I don't enjoy. Photography, if anyone's familiar with Mincer Sarowitz, you should be familiar with the Mincer Sarowitz, Led by Myers photography calendar, which myself and my partner Larry Sarowitz put together, which we send to our clients. Feel free to contact me for one now, or towards the end of the year. And that's a a calendar of art photography, and we really enjoy doing that, both Larry and I. I realized at some point later in life that one of my grandfathers was unfortunately not with us anymore. That he was a photography hobbyist, and I didn't think I knew this back when he was still alive when I was younger, but I'd like to think that that love for photography, I got that from him. Look, I have a bunch of other hobbies. I skate, snowboard, I scuba diving since I was a young teen. And that maybe all encompasses to what I'm trying to get to. I guess what's not in my profile is I really love to learn, which can be explained by some of these hobbies that I just listed. I really love to learn, and no matter what the subject is, I'll find a new subject that I find fascinating, and then I'll devote probably too much time, to be frank, but a lot of time to learning as much as I can about it, and then that becomes a thing that I enjoy and understand and can refer to for whatever reason at some point in my life. So it's just this insatiable thirst for knowledge, and I just keep finding new things that I want to know about, and that's been true throughout my life, and that's definitely not on my profile. As an attorney who joined this firm very early in his career, just a couple of years or so out of school, who has been with the firm for about 17 years now, and who's now the managing partner of the Minster Sarovitz, Cherry Hill, New Jersey office. I actually think I'm exceptionally qualified to speak about the opportunities available at Minster Sarovitz. First and foremost, people need to know that we are a litigation firm. People who come here and people who work here are litigators. If you're a young attorney coming in, that's fine. We will teach you how to become a litigator. We're not an office where you're going to spend hours per day sitting, going through stacks and stacks of documents and never being able to speak to an opposing counsel or a client or defend a deposition or see the inside of a courtroom for a motion of trial. That is not who we are. We are litigators. We are courtroom attorneys, is what I tell my friends and so on. If you're a young attorney coming in, as I said, we will teach you what you need to know to become a litigator. And if you're a more senior attorney, then you will know how to do that. In a relatively short period of time after joining your firm, you can expect to be assigned cases for which you will be primarily responsible. Doesn't mean you can't come to myself or one of the other partners and ask questions or discuss or consult 100%. But you are going to be the attorney responsible for handling that case. You're going to take it through discovery. You're going to take it through depositions, arbitrations, and if need be, you will ultimately be the one trying the case. I think that's a great thing. If you're interested in litigation, that's just a fantastic thing. Any person, any attorney who's interested in becoming a litigation attorney, I can assure you, I can tell you with 100% certainty, Minster Sarovitz, Zara Slabway Myers is the place for you.